spent in a miserable way.
U.S. News: McKinsey advised Purdue Pharma how to turbocharge opioid sales. Lawsuit says the New York. By N. The world's most prestigious management consulting firm, McKinsey Company, has been drawn into a national reckoning over who bears responsibility for the opioid crisis that has devastated families and communities across America. In released in unredacted form on Thursday, the Massachusetts Attorney General said McKinsey had helped the maker of Oxycontin fan the flames of the opioid epidemic. The McKinsey disclosures are part of a Massachusetts files against Purdue Pharma, accusing the company of misleading doctors and patients about the safety of opioid use. Even when the company, Purdue Pharma, helped plant the seeds of the opioid epidemic through its aggressive marketing of Oxycontin, more than 100, as the death toll from opioid abuse has climbed, the cast of those who are alleged to have contributed to the crisis: manufacturers, distributors, doctors, pharmacists, hospitals and regulatory agencies. Has grown. McKinsey is a new
raindrop, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.